Well, first of all, thank you all for being patient with us. To my right, I have Chief Deputy Anthony Buckner. To my left, Dr. Marie Fagan, Superintendent of the Memphis and Shelby County Schools. The reason that we called you here today, earlier today, the Shelby County Sheriff's Office obtained a warrant for a 15-year-old in connection with the multiple threats of mass violence directed at Southwind High School. The teen, who resides in Nashville, reportedly made several threatening phone calls Wednesday morning to the school and posted alarming messages on Instagram stating his intent to shoot up the school. In response to these serious threats, over 50 deputies were reassigned from their regular duties in various schools throughout Southeast Shelby County to ensure the safety of the students and the faculties while detectives conducted a thorough investigation. This arrest should serve as a reminder that the Shelby County Sheriff's Office will act swiftly, decisively to protect our students and staff. We urge anyone considering making similar threats to think twice. Such actions will not be tolerated and could result in serious consequences. We extend our deepest gratitude to the FBI and the Tennessee Homeland Security for their invaluable assistance during this investigation. Their expertise and resources were crucial in bringing this situation to a swift conclusion. We also commend the hard work and dedication of our deputies and detectives who act quickly to resolve this threat and to maintain safety in our schools. This investigation is ongoing. We encourage anyone with additional information regarding this incident to contact the Shelby County Sheriff's Office. We want to be very clear. We take threats of violence in schools very serious and are committed to ensuring the safety of our community. I'm asking parents to have an immediate conversation with their children about the seriousness of this foolish behavior. As I conclude, detectives in Nashville has this teen in custody, and they are traveling back to Memphis this evening and will be transferred to the custody of the Youth Detention and Education Center. Anyone have any questions?
Yeah, yesterday, I believe during y'all's press conference, we were told 3 teens were detained. Earlier today, we were told 5 people were arrested, and now 1. How many arrests? I mean, is the 8 in addition to or is the 3 in addition to the 5? Is this 9 people total, 5 people total, 3 people total?
Well, I think maybe where some of the confusion lies that the Memphis Police Department was handling some of the schools and making some of their arrests. We investigated Southwind, so we're only talking about 1 for us.
Initially, it was stated yesterday that there were phone calls made at 7:30 in the morning to Southwind, but there were also a social media post going around with 2 shotguns. Were those both threats, or was it just the phone call?
No, there were phone calls made as well as Instagram posts. These were believed later on to be stock posts, but we weren't sure at the time, and we took it very seriously. So, we didn't take anything for granted.
Is he believed to be working with these other people who spread these posts, for these other schools? Or?
I think that's a part of the investigation that we're still looking at right now. The detectives, obviously, the working relationship that we have with the Memphis Police Department and all the other various jurisdictions, because we've talked to all the municipalities. We're going to be speaking with all of them and, trying to tie up any loose end that, that may be there.
So can law enforcement confirm if the threats received this week were actually credible, or do they believe that's part of a hoax?
Well, I mean, if you're making threats to do something like that, we take it as creditable. Now, as we get into the investigation, maybe later on you could say it was a hoax, but trust me, we did not take this lightly. As I said in the statement, over 50 deputies responded to Southwind. We stopped doing other things to put officers in the area, and that's the importance that we're really trying to get over to parents and the children, that this is serious business. we devoted a lot of resources, a lot of man hours, where our officers could have, should have, maybe be doing other things, but we had to stop what we were doing to investigate this because this was serious, and we didn't want to see any student, faculty, or anything. I think Dr. Fagan mentioned yesterday about to the parents about listening to what they're putting out, what the principal is putting out, because there's so many moving parts when this is going on and when this is happening that we don't have all the information. We're gathering information constantly as quickly as we possibly can. Dr. Fagan is trying to put information out. We're trying to get information out to our officers. So it's just very chaotic.
So does he have any connection to Memphis? You mentioned he's in Nashville. So why was this Nashville team making threats to Memphis?
I think that's also going to be a part of an investigation through the Tennessee Homeland Security. We were able to connect the dots along with the FBI. We were able to connect dots, so that's going to be part of it as well.
And because of this individual, you said is 15 years old, they're a minor, so is there not any more details you can provide on that individual?
No, we're not. We won't release his name or anything. No,
Any idea as far as charges?
no sir. The warrants that were signed.
Yeah, so right now we have secured a warrant, a felony warrant, for threats of mass violence at a school. So our role and our responsibility right now is to bring him back to Memphis and transfer him to the custody of juvenile court, where he will face Judge Sugarman and his staff, hopefully in the next day or two, to determine whether or not he needs to remain in custody or be released to his parents until the case can be resolved.
I understand they picked him up. He's on his way to Shelby County right now.
Yes, so we sent 2 detectives to Nashville to pick this young man up and to bring him back to Shelby County to face charges. We've been in conversation overnight with the district attorney's office to try to determine whether charges needed to be filed in Nashville or here in Memphis, and so the determination was made to go ahead and secure a warrant here in Shelby County so that he can be held accountable through our system, our court system.
Any idea what kind of punishment this kid could face?
No, we're going to leave that up to Judge Sugarman and his staff to make that determination. Our job right now is to make sure that we connect the dots, make the arrest, and bring this person before the court. You know, as the sheriff said, you know, this was a tremendous strain on our resources yesterday. So we're going to be communicating that strain to the court system, because there are dollars attached to the amount of resources that we dedicated, from the number of deputies, the fuel, the vehicles, and the other responsibilities that we had during this hours-long day of trying to resolve this. Our detectives were even working overnight trying to piece together this case so that we can present the best case forward in front of the court today to get the warrant.
Dr. Fagans, I know that the school board had a closed meeting today about security measures. Can you update us on what they discussed and what you guys will be implementing in the school district after these bomb threats?
So, you know, sessions like that are reserved and confidential. What I can share is just overall, it's important in moments like this and just in general to provide general safety updates to ensure the board that the district has taken the proper precautionary measures to the degree possible to ensure the safety of all of our students and staff. In incidents and moments like yesterday, you know, certainly anxiety is heightened. The level of panic is heightened and exacerbated, and so you give reassurance to the governance team that the protocols that we have in place, the measures that we have in place, the practices that we're currently carrying out are enough, that we have handled this the way that we should, while also looking and taking the opportunity to explore gaps and share with leadership teams what we're seeing and what we're hearing from the field in terms of the perspectives of our principals, our parents, and certainly our students who have shared in real time what this experience felt like for them and how we can strengthen and add additional layers, if you will, of safety measures as we move forward, because we know, unfortunately, something like this could potentially happen again in the future.
Dr. Fagans, you talked in your Facebook Live today how you guys are working with the company called Final Sight. How long has the district worked with and or used Final Sight?
So Final Sight purchased a company called Blackboard. Blackboard has been in use for quite some time. I used it as a principal. What I was sharing and lifting today is after receiving a bit of feedback of some concerns and complaints are generally expected because you missed the mark, but hearing so many, my only focus was to figure out why. So exploring the data, taking a look at our attempts, if you will, to communicate with our community and our families specifically. And we learned that more than 60,000 of those calls were undelivered. We learned another 80,000, if you will, text messages out of more than 130,000, families, if you will, or numbers that we have were also undelivered. I think we all agree that's a pretty high number. And so what I was lifting today is we've had conversations with the company to figure out if it's technical difficulties, if it's an opportunity for the company to work on. Is it human error on our end? Are we attempting to send out too many messages? So really just doing that root cause analysis to literally get to the root of why our communication attempts have been falling short. Also taking a look at previous experiences as this is not the first time the district has used this particular platform for communication, just to see if this has been an ongoing issue or if it has been something else. As our families have shared, this has become their expectation, and for me that's problematic as we think about one of the most important things, if you will, is trust and community trust, our families to trust us as a system, but certainly in times like this to trust us to be able to deliver messages about the status of their children. And so sharing that transparently is always something that I've wanted to do and made a commitment to doing, and today was no different.
So it's been like at least more than 2 years, what you saying?
I'm saying it didn't start today or yesterday. And so it's getting to the root to see just how long this has taken place. It's also the opportunity for us to have conversations with our families about providing contact information. I know sometimes it feels like we're hassling them, but when we're needing to provide, information like we did yesterday, those are times when we need to be able to make direct contact. So there are several thousand families that we do not have information for, and so this particular analysis lifted that for me as well. So it's also standing up opportunities that are convenient as well, that you don't have to go to the school to do, that we're not having to use paper to do, that we can really use a 21st century way to really just send a text, if you will, to stand up something in the communities where they frequent, additional innovative ways that we can connect with our community to get the types of contact information we need.
Are there any updates to the Whitehaven incidents yesterday?
I do not have additional information. I think you were asking, is it 5, is it 9? And so yesterday I did communicate that we had 5 arrests. That included the 3 that were detained and in custody and answering questions. This is an additional one, so we're at 6. And so I don't have additional information to speak to about that, but we do know certainly it's 3 students and Whitehaven students. And so looking forward to receiving additional information from MPD about that.
The other 2, are they with another school?
The other 2, I'm not quite sure their connections just yet, but we have made those 5 arrests, this being the 6th. I think transparently, we did have a fire alarm pull today, and so that contributed to 1 or a couple of them, and so that could be. I just want to make sure I have that information correct, but I can share that we did have fire alarm pull today as we saw floating around and were able to prepare for overnight in terms of some of those posts being made, able to intervene very quickly. Everyone was safe, nothing happened, but that we did have a fire alarm pulled.
Those
Last
other
question.
2 that you weren't sure whether they're connected, do they go to school with Shelby County Schools, or are they in Nashville like the Southwind suspect, or do we know?
No, tonight's individual is the only individual that I know that is connected or in Nashville. Others, I would say they probably are students. I don't know which schools, but I'm sure that they are students somewhere. It's just a matter of understanding exactly where. But those 3 students, for sure, we do know Whitehaven High School. It's a totally different incident, but definitely Whitehaven High School students, and they were captured inside of Whitehaven High School.
What's your message to students and parents moving forward if these threats continue to keep happening from students, or is there anything set up moving forward that can make this a little bit easier of a process if we, have to deal with this again, hoping that we don't?
I think the message is, as we shared yesterday, there are consequences for actions. Deploying the level of resources that had to be deployed, the time that was invested in this. Certainly, we know that we do what we need to do for our community, for our students. But what it has taken out of us emotionally and certainly physically is something that you can't get back. But when we share that we take this seriously, I think this is the example and the statement that is being made that we cannot perhaps stop threats from being made, but we can certainly interject and assert ourselves in such a way that you will face consequences to the degree possible, whatever that might be. We also want to emphasize collaboration, that when we provide guidance, that we follow that guidance. It is for the safety not just of our students, but for everyone involved, including families, as we operate with that delicate balance that everyone just wants to know that all of our children are safe. Thank you for your time this evening.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.